and get them to deal with their problems diplomatically, and then turn that diplomatic success on to the Syrian conflict, which is being fueled principally by Saudi money, with Prince Bandar in charge.
Okay, here's a question for you, Morley. How important was the cooperation between CIA and Mossad in places like Central America and Zaire?
Zaire. Well, in the case of Central America in the 1980s, there was a significant Israeli role. The Reagan administration barred from military aid to counter-revolutionary forces in Nicaragua and restricted in aid to other military regimes, turned to outside actors, their own aid network, but also to the Israelis to ship arms, ship money, and Israeli, it was never clear to me whether it was a formal Israeli intelligence operation or whether these were sort of Israeli contractors who were simply allowed to operate in the region. But the CIA and the Reagan administration relied on them quite a bit for what they called counterterrorism work, for shipping arms and expertise into the region in order to prevail in the civil wars. So in that time, the Israeli role was definitely significant. I am not well informed about the CIA and Mossad role in Zaire, so I can't really comment on that.
Okay, we have 3 minutes left, I think. So based on the, this is not a fun question to end the conference with, based on the incredible increasing trend of impunity among aggressive military action like in the Levant, and genocidal warfare, what stops Israel from launching a similar final solution to the Palestinian people?
You want me to take that?
You can, either one of you.
I don't, at this point, I don't think Lieberman or Netanyahu or any of the more ultra-right-wing aspects of the Zionist political movement, Israeli government, whatever we want to call it, are suicidal. I don't think they're that fatalistic either. I think they really think they can wind up, or some subsequent prime minister can wind up, with Jordan, with probably pieces of Syria, certainly to go on, and Israel can be greater Israel. And they're willing to back off from some of that as powers interpose themselves and give them a problem with that. But they want a greater Israel for a number of reasons, security reasons, the old biblical prophecies and so forth. And so I think they're going to try to keep this in the air to start with. You're going to see some bombing. I think you're going to see over the next 6 months, they're going to take Lebanon on. They're going to take Hezbollah on in Syria and Lebanon. And when that doesn't work, or when Hezbollah presents them as they did in July 2006 with some new options in terms of what Hezbollah can do to them, and maybe even the Lebanese armed forces do too, it might get tricky. And then there might be armored formations, ground units, infantry, and so forth, and that's when the door opens for general conflict. There was a question asked too about the base. Here's why I think we put the base there, because the last time I spoke here, I said we didn't have any hard power in Israel, so the Pentagon responded, put the base there. I'm joking. We put the base there for the same reason we have tripwire forces in other places. We put the base there so that there can be no question in the minds of the American people when the president directs U.S. forces into Israel equipped to go into Syria, because we will have been attacked. And the disposition of that base is just sitting on an Israeli air base, and we put the stars and the stars and stripes up and declared it a U.S. air base. It's four Patriot batteries as far as I know. But it's there and it's U.S. territory. So when missiles start flying, or God forbid the IRGC actually tries to put guerrillas into Israel proper, then we are being attacked too. And so when we go to Congress, if Trump feels like he has to go to Congress, he isn't going to have to. Probably Congress is going to be demanding that the president take action.
Well, that's a very sobering end there. Okay, another question. We are out of time. time, but one more, I guess, Grant, you get special. What are the possibilities of a 9/11 Mossad op-type strike to propel us into Iran like it did in Iraq? I don't know, who wants to take that?
I think you've got the ingredients, adequate ingredients right now. We have about 3,200 troops in Syria. You've got Secretary Mattis and Secretary Tillerson both saying we're staying there because we need to confront the Iranian elements that are trying to establish this corridor and are too close to Israel. You've got the President of the United States contradicting them and saying, no, when we're done with ISIS, we're leaving. Of course, that's an ambiguity. When are you done with ISIS? You could say you're never going to be done with ISIS, not completely, but the policy is not clear right now. But there are all the ingredients in place, including Russian-U.S. aircraft being deconflicted on an hourly basis by direct communications. You've got all the ingredients for a wider war, and for a gang like that suddenly becomes, you get the same thing in the South China Sea when the Chinese sink a U.S. aircraft carrier. What are the American people going to do when 5,000 souls, $14 billion is on the bottom of the ocean because the Chinese are going to sink a U.S. aircraft carrier? Guaranteed. What are we going to do? Is it going to be over Taiwan? Are we then going to defend Taiwan? Probably not. Most Americans will probably get anxious about that. But this is what we're courting in the world now at a time when our power has been dramatically reduced from what it was in 1945. And we don't recognize that. We simply don't recognize that. Too many enemies.
Okay, I think we will end this panel.
Wow.
We have a couple, thank you so much.